Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Monday edition of Trading Trends. It's Monday, June 9th, 2025. Hope everyone had a splendid weekend. Spring is almost on the way out. It's almost summertime. I got a nice little spring-summer picture here. Some stuff happened today. We actually got a big program today. We're going to cover a lot. And also do a yearly recap. Best performers over year. We got a new entry for number 3, and it may surprise. That's the definition of a teaser. This is Bitcoin and uranium that is supposed to be. They had a very nice day together. Today, Bitcoin and uranium both jumped about 4%. We'll take a look. I believe that's the physical sign for uranium here with a smiley face inside. This is, of course, Bitcoin with hands with gloves on them and legs with sneakers. Nat gas fell. We'll take a look at that. And last week, we'll do a little recap of obviously today, including. It's really been about the semis. Semis about up 7%, and then the Ark stocks up about 9%. They've really been dominating in the past week. Of course, that also included that whole Trump-Musk flush out. But yeah, semis and Ark have had a splendid week. Again, today belongs to Bitcoin and uranium. We will take a look at the charts. But first off, let us get back into the machine here and the intraday charts and all that. Okay, so first, big moves. Yeah, Tesla up 4%. That public spat was for right now a medium, short-term bottom. We'll see, but it's nice looking here at 308 close. Apple continues to be a dog, down 1.2%. It's had a little bit of a rebound on its 52-week low, but this is an ugly Mag 7 name. Apple looks bad. They have their challenges and not looking so splendid. Palantir up 3%, right back to 132. We said a great entry is 122 if you get it, and you absolutely got it last week. I think it actually went as low as 118, and now we're all the way back here at 132. I still think it has a nice bullish week ahead. Amazon up 1.5. AMD, really a big part of the semis today. Semis had a very nice move today. We'll take a look at the chart. Largely in part for AMD up 5%. Again, the video is up 60 bips. AMD powering it today up 5%. And otherwise, Broadcom down 1, going the other way in semis. Robinhood down 2%. Of course, there was a rumor that they're going to be included in the S&P 500 on the close Friday afternoon. It did not happen, and folks sold the stock off. And MicroStrategy's up 5%. We'll take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin looking absolutely splendid. And again, the SOXX ETF up 7%. IBIT up 4%. Enough of that. Intraday chart. So here was the market open here. Right, this opening candle where I am here. We basically treaded the line with VWAP all the way to 11:30. VWAP being 599.5 essentially right here, going into that European close at noon, and then a nice thrust here all the way into 2 o'clock, all the way to 6:01 in SPY, and then they sold it from there. Really throughout the afternoon, all the way to the bell. And we actually sliced right through VWAP at 3:30. VWAP is actually, I don't know if you could see that in the orange, but it's exactly 600.00 on the day here. And then we actually sold off more all the way down to 599.30. So a little bit of selling, but again, we've had a very nice move off of those lows last week, which is 591. And now we're all the way trading at, as high as 601. As I zoom out, I've been saying that we were in the bullish accumulation phase that started pretty much. My count is actually closer to right here between these wicks right there, pretty much on the 29th after Memorial Day weekend. And that's where it began. And typically around a 15-day cycle, depending on the volatility and the momentum, that should take you through about the end of this week, very early next week, and right about 605, which is a percent away from here. So I don't see, absolute takeoff. Again, you could see we're ascending, but we're essentially still in a rectangle going back to the week of the all-time highs. We're still trying to break out above that 602. We've only done it, a handful of times this year. So that's the next step. I do think we have a bullish week, and that takes us, as I said, to around 605, 606 this week. So I think you're going to have some bullish, nice spirits here, and finally a breakout above there. And then going into that, we'll see if momentum takes it to 610. I don't know if we get the new all-time highs in the next, 1 to 2 weeks, but things look good here in the chart. Obviously, I don't think it happens the next week, but we're going to get awfully close and get people excited. Potentially that FOMO pushes it up. I had July for a while for the new all-time high date. To break out of this, you could do cup and handle and a couple different structures to see how much time it should take to break this 613 high from February 19th. So I'm not sure. A couple of weeks is, somewhat marginal sometimes. So we'll see. I think still it's July, but you're getting very close. You're in IFA again, the same old party, new all-time highs every day. Okay, so let's get to some of the movers here. There were some really good ones. I'm going to come at you today with some good stuff. Again, this is the ETF part of the show. I'll try and do stocks on Wednesday, but enough happened today in ETF land for us to cover. IBIT, you got to talk about this shebang right here, up 4% today, a huge move. We are getting very close to the all-time highs, which was 63.70. We're at 61.80, a great looking candle. Almost similar to what I said of, in terms of SPY. Look at the resistance here. I mean, it's light because it's a recent history, but this goes back to that December 17th as well. That's when the Fed cut. And you get a bearish divergence here in the highs that gave out very quickly. And we went all the way to 200-day during the SPY 52-week lows. And now a beautiful resurgence all the way to May 22nd, right before Memorial Day, this sucker hitting $64. So what say you now? I've always said you have to own IBIT. It's just a matter of how much in your portfolio. This thing is getting ready to go. I've been saying it. I saw a chart, folks saying, "Oh, failed breakdown in IBIT and they're in Bitcoin and it's going to go lower." I do not think so. This is going higher. I believe this has $64 written on in about 2 to 3 weeks, potentially $65, and that would be new all-time highs, which takes Bitcoin north of 110K. I think it's imminent. This is a great looking candle. See how it trades tonight and this week, but I'm bullish for the market overall beta for this week. And for the next 2 weeks, I think Bitcoin's going to have a nice run here and a beautiful hold here in IBIT2 of the 50 RSI. There have been bidders in this market since the week after the SPY 52-week low, ever since April 15th, essentially tax day here. Beautiful looking chart, Bitcoin all time, but especially since these SPY lows over the last 2 months. IBIT, a nice mover today. Multiple sigma mover, which is why we're looking at up 4.25%. Next, uranium, a very big move. This one hit 52-week highs today, which is why you see that here. This thing's been on a tear. This thing's been overbought since May 9th. So this is, I think, before Mother's Day. So this is a month now, overbought, get in line, and actually a pretty crazy structure, a technical break or breakout. It closed, a lot of technical signals why to buy this the week of May 12th. You had a stabilization of the 200-day moving average, a close above it, as well as an entry above 200-day moving, above overbought behavior with the RSI above 70. That was a good enough reason right there to get it at 27.30 1 month ago. The stock right now trading 35 smackers. So what do you do now? I think this has, so in terms of this is like full target for me. I have about $33, to be honest, 34 with a little vol expansion. So this to me is a little bit overdone, but uranium clearly breaking out above those previous October highs, above $34 as of today. Congratulations. Uranium, kind of a crazy chart. You see the oversold behaviors here several times, and then overbought back here in October. And then overall, kind of a relatively flat 200-day moving average of $29. So pretty crazy. And they really sold this thing off with the SPY 52-week lows down to 19.5. And now here we are, almost a double. So crazy ride in uranium. In terms of, like I said, full target right here around 30, to be honest, 33, 34. So this looks a bit rich, but I still think has a bullish week ahead. So a little bit of zig and zag, potentially down to $33, and then ends up still at 34. But a nice turnaround story with significant outperformance starting May 12th. Uranium, a multiple sigma mover today, up 4.5%. Next, last multiple standard deviation mover was Taiwan. Of course, this is a geographical ETF. It's not going to move 4% most cases. Up 1.1%. Taiwan, a very bullish day. Let me just check what Taiwan Semiconductor did, as it's a major holder in this. So Taiwan Semi was only up 90 bips. So the Nation ETF actually did more than the major constituent. So Taiwan here, again, trying to flag its own turnaround here. Really, May 12th, significantly a turnaround. Again, a lot of rotation into different kind of markets. We saw in uranium outperformance. You also saw it right here, and a beautiful hold of the 200-day, which is 52.15. It did it twice last week on the 30th or 2 weeks ago and the 2nd. Very nice, and now it's tapping its upper Bollinger Band. I think this has a nice, again, coming out bullish here. I think this has a nice week to go. I think this actually targets near about $55. So a little bit more to go. Bullish, again, in terms of duration over the next 2 weeks. I don't think it rips to the upside. Again, the 52-week highs are back here from last July at 57.69. That's where it's essentially at least trying to get to. I think it gets to 55, maybe 55 quarter over the next 2 weeks. But a nice bullish chart looking for Taiwan. All right, put a ticker if you'd like in the chart. A lot of big moves over the past couple of days, and I will take a look-see, for a short, medium-term view. Okay, the big losers. There were losers today, not massive, but here they are in standard deviation terms. Insurance, this thing's usually been rewarded. Great-looking chart, steady. Why investors love getting involved. Berkshire, obviously, major in this. Travelers and other insurers. This thing peaked Thanksgiving week at 62.5. And they've sold it off. Really has only touched oversold behavior. Has had above 50 RSI momentum for a large amount of it, with an ugly sell-off with the SPY 52-week lows April 4th to essentially erasing that by May 1st. And now it looks range-bound under 60. They sold it off, 1.5% today, which is kind of a big deal in a lower ATR, average true range ETF like KIE. This looks like a money flow buy to me. I think this has a bullish week still, but it's going to hit its head at that resistance of 60. I don't think this breaks just yet. It has not had its ability to do this since April 3rd, and I don't think that continues, but I do think this is a decent opportunity. You might get it on sale again, but a nice touch of the wick here all the way to 200-day today, this afternoon, and then it essentially closed right there, down 1.5%. So insurance giving you an opportunity. Again, bullish in the S&P, so it seems like it's a little bit more risk on. Maybe folks don't flock to KIE and insurance, but this thing is a star. Look at that rising 200 moving average, bottom left of your screen to the at least middle to the right quadrant. That's what you want to see. Another space subsector don't look at or don't talk about often, but I do look at actually is the medical devices. I know a lot of folks like medical devices. This is like Medtronic, a lot of other newer firms as well. This is the chart for the IHI. So a sell-off today, down 1.25%. Here's a nice ride 200-day moving average at 60.22. This thing peaked February 5th, so about 2 weeks or so before the market did, and it bottomed with the S&P oversold, double time. But nice run overall. A beautiful-looking chart. Had an ugly purgatory here. The medical devices from April 3rd to about April 25th. Sell first, ask questions later, but now it looks like it's trying to get back to its ways, but still range bound under 63 and above 60. I think this has a nice bullish 1 to 2 weeks. I think this heads towards about 63.75 to 64. I think it tries really hard. I think it has maybe enough juice. Today was definitely a knock in the socks here, but I think it is going to make a very good run with the bullishness of the overall market, and they flood into a little bit higher beta and crazier stuff like this. Like IHI, I like to hold a 50 RSI oversold behavior ever since mid to late April, the 23rd to be exact, with the hold of a more slightly rising 200-day moving average. So there's a couple things I like in the chart. You're going to get paid in volatility essentially in this, but potentially an opportunity for 62 calls again with like a 64 target in about 2 weeks. Check what they're worth. They are likely expensive. You can also sell puts, the 60s. Next. Nat gas, everyone's everyone's favorite charts, or loves to talk about nat gas. Still going through its tough time here. The 200-day is 1670, and we closed at 1652. So that is a close beneath. It's been having a rough time trying to close above it in stable fashion since the 2nd of June or last Monday. So the Ryan Semiconductors. I'll look at the other stuff. Uranium, but they have not been essentially getting long nat gas. But it's range bound today, almost down 4%. Now what short term? I know a lot of viewers play it. I think that's kind of it for a short term for the run. I think maybe it tries to get towards 17 in another day or two, but really I'm kind of anticipating a bearish 2 weeks for nat gas as this goes towards essentially 15.5, I would say, right around those lows that it tagged several times. So a little bit beneath that, I think this bullishness to the market will have folks exiting a commodity, with no earnings, like in nat gas. I foresee. And again, more bullish 2 weeks. And again, this has had largely sub 50 RSI readings since April 3rd. So this has not had the bullish run. And again, a failed, breakout here at 19. You wanted to see that reclaim it, and that has a low, a short-term low. Instead, it didn't really put that in. Now you are getting higher lows, but I just don't love the chart. The 200-day moving average, the last thing on this, is slightly rising a penny a day at 1671. You close beneath it today. I think this gives way, and you're headed towards 15, as I said, 15.5 to 1575. You could sell upside calls that would likely pay, but see what it would pay. Nat gas, multiple standard deviation loser today. Also, yeah, I will be on All-Star Charts, the stock market show tomorrow. I forgot to open up with this. Tired. I had the overnight shift last night with the baby, and I am exhausted. Feel like I got kicked in the head for a little bit. TMI. That's not a ticker. It might be. Let me see. No, it's not. It's Trend Micro ADR. It's TMI CY. Anyways, yes, I'll be doing that tomorrow morning with JC and our friends Steve Straza. So that'll be fun. And then also chart report on Spaces, and then I'm probably going to be writing for Chart Advisor again soon. So look for those pieces for me to get clacking writing again. Top 3 gainers the past 5 days. No repeating the charts in terms of going through the analysis. Number 1 place to be in the past 5 days. So today, plus obviously the past 4 for you home gamers, it's been uranium. If you just continue to buy the breakout, nice job. I'm talking about more so the breakout here. I know that's the actual true breakout going back to October, but today actually did finally break out. So I'm not congratulating just the holders of today. I really am congratulating these guys that bought May 9th, whoever bought above 27.5. Congratulations. And as well, this thing's up 11% in the past 5 days, an average of 2% a day. Today at 2x that. Congratulations. Number 2, though, is the ARK stocks up 9%. Okay, this one, again, we have not looked at this chart in the show. These guys peaked with the old US 52-week highs at 68.43 February 18th, 2025. And then they sold all the way down to about $39. And now really a nice turnaround when? May 12th, when you saw a lot of rotation into different spaces. And significantly as well. So I like this. This is a nice little relative strength breakout for me. Similar to what we had about the charts earlier, I think this has a bullish 2 weeks in terms of duration. But for me, the target had been, it was a nice surge day, up 2%. That's had a very nice week. But my target right here is right around $62. I don't think has enough steam to go to 68 right here on this leg. For me, that's more probably of a July story for it to get up 10% to get through those highs. But again, this is a $2 ATR stock, so this thing moves. But yeah, beautiful looking chart, nice rising 200-day moving average, purgatory essentially from March 10th to May 10th, and after that, woof, just right back to ascension. And of course, back here coming off the 52-week lows from the Yen Mageddon when it touched $37. But this is a different era. So again, a bullish 2 weeks, potentially zigzags. You can see even here a close above the Bollinger Band, significant momentum here. It rarely kind of does that. It does that, 2 days in a row. So it did that here back in December. It did that back here in November. So it happens from time to time, and then it comes down to earth. So look for that to correct at some point. But again, like I said, my target for this is $62, right around where my cursor is here. Potentially zigzag drops, to 60 and then close around $62. But a great looking chart is ARK. And the next best place to be for the past week was the SOXX. Very important part of the market. The semiconductors up 7.5%. So uranium up 11%. The ARK stocks up 9%, and then the SOXX up 7.5%. So these guys talk about a turnaround. Still in purgatory. This is not a great looking chart. This looks like crapola. I mean, in terms of the actual strength, it's actually, of course, trying to stage a turnaround. And I guess this turnaround really started back more so April 24th with more buying than selling off the 178 level. And again, this really important wall of the 200 moving average, 213. Hopefully, this old resistance is now support. It is support now just for the fourth trading day. Okay, so it started being support June 5th. Very, very important. My target for this is about 223, so we're essentially at it. I think it has a nice bullish 2 weeks, but a bit zig and zags. This also rarely closes above the upper Bollinger Band, and it did today. It rarely does it. I don't think it's actually ever done it this past year more than twice in a row. So, and the upper Bollinger Band level is 210, 220.84. You'll get a little bit of expansion, but I think this dances about towards 218. And again, about 2 weeks' time goes to 223. And that's a supportive backdrop to the market going a bit higher. So again, best areas of the market, uranium, ARK, and semis. Totally risk on to me. AI-related plays, that looks well. But those were the themes on the winning side. Confirming that bullishness, the biggest loser in the ETF space of the past week, VXX. That's a great indicator when the market takes a sigh of relief. And that is actually even doubly more importantly, I don't know if I'm making sense. But important to me because we are under the 200 moving average. That to me is a signal of regime change potentially. I know it's hard to chart a non-time series chart like the VXX, which is the short-term futures, but I think this has another bearish week or so. Again, inverse forecast of S&P. If I'm bullish on the market for another week to 2 weeks, or really about another week, with about a 2% upside, or about 1% and a 1.5% upside, that's going to be bearish for VXX. And today, again, down 1%. We're talking about it because it's down 6% on the week. The worst place to be in terms of long, down 6%. The next loser in the ETF is down 3%. And we'll look at it next. But I think this heads towards, again, so you can't really see it, but the black line is the 200 moving average. It's 50.92. It's still going up about a penny a day. And this has been driven largely in the past couple months on tariff fears, AI replacing, productivity. There's lots of fears that are having the market have higher volatility. Looks like we absolutely did peak, though, April 8th, again, with all the tariffs on the 25% on China, so on and so forth. But I think this VXX has another week or so of ugliness, and this goes towards 47. In terms of 52-week low, that is last July when the semis were ripping and NVIDIA was going crazy, and that's at $40. So we are still a full $10 or 20% decline away in VXX. I don't foresee that happening, but I do think this hugs a 47 handle right here. I think we break through these lows when we get back. We try to get closer to those end of March levels in VXX. Not quite, but I think we're trading VXX 47 by Friday. All right, we'll see. Worst place to be in the past 5 days, though. Next worst place, it's an absolute superstar. You're getting on sale. It's down 3% in the past week. Today they bought it. It was up 1%. This is coming off 52-week lows, but this has had an ugly, week. The worst place to be. It's down 3%. You're getting it on sale. What do we say happens here for an absolute superstar like GDX? I think this continues to be on sale. Again, like I said, the market's going to be, I think, having a bullish backdrop to it. I think this gets on sale all the way to about the 50 half level, which is in line with the 20-day, the 21-day exponential moving average. So another $2 or so on sale, and that'll be your signal to get in this monster with probably a more than likely another upside target of $53. So that is the call on GDX, the second worst place to be in this week. And then I'm not going to go into this too much drill down because we just talked about it, but nat gas, the third worst place to be in the market. It's not a massive margin, but today's 4% decline didn't help it. It's down 2% in the past week. And we already talked about nat gas. I think they're going to buy market, sell stuff that doesn't have, reputable earnings like a nat gas. And again, chart doesn't really look swell. All right, one of my favorite parts. This is super helpful for my process. Top 3 trades of the, first of the past 5 days have been all to the long side. Just to recap, it's been long uranium, long Ark, long SOXX. If you're long that absolutely crushed the market. Now, drum roll, top 3 trades of the past 52 weeks. We were just talking about the GDX getting on sale. The best performing ETF actually surpassed Bitcoin. And I use this as a proxy for all the yellow metals. Gold is up 45% year over year. The GDX majors are up just a touch beneath this. But I know folks are addicted to yield and alpha, as we all are. So I took GDXJ up 66% year over year. Absolutely staggering from last June 9th through today. Fresh off this week, last week coming off a 52-week high at $72. GDXJ looks absolutely stellar. Your best performing ETF. It has eclipsed Bitcoin year over year. This is not a flash in the pan or anything like that. The good news is, if you're long, I guess maybe not good news for the next 2 weeks, but I think this actually gets on sale to about $65. I think you're going to get this discount. The best performer from last June to through this June. I would be aggressive at that point, and it's still going to hold, I believe, those breakouts from mid-April. So great looking chart. GDX, I think you're going to get a setup towards the end of the month, about $65. And I love, 65, 70 call spreads. You look at the liquidity, obviously, of course, in the option chain and the open interest. But I like that for potentially July. I'd have to look potentially 1x2s look attractive, maybe even a butterfly, a target butterfly, $70. But GDXJ, I think you get on sale first, about 2 weeks, backs up the truck, and then it goes north. That is a trade I'm looking at again personally as well. Second best performing ETF in all the land is aforementioned IBIT. Looks great. We're talking about it. It's coming. It's getting ready to go. This is up 57% year over year. No flash in the pan or flavor of the week either. This thing's a monster, a 57%. Beautiful hold as well, 50 RSI of this behavior going through, some from tax day, and just really from all the other stocks and ETFs got beat up during the early April sell-off. This is really just, 3 closes, less than a week's worth above a steadily inclining 200-day moving average. There's a lot worse places you can be than Bitcoin. You got to own it. It's just a matter of how much. Up 57% year over year. And then last, this is a new entry. We have not talked about this in terms of the yearly recap. We're talking about it earlier in the show because it's the second best place to be in the past week. And guess what? It's the third best place to be in the entire market over the past year. It's Ark. We have not said that for a long time. Right behind this is up 42% year over year. Right behind is FXI. So this is where trades and investors are putting their money in the past year. So be aware. It's gold, it's Bitcoin, it's Ark stuff, and it's China. You got to be aware of that. And Europe, of course, is getting flows as well. It's not just Mag 7 market anymore. Here's the Ark chart. And again, Ark was the best, I believe, top 1 or top 2. I think it was top 1 best performing ETF during Trump's first administration. So, folks, it just works. I don't argue with the charts. Like I said, a little bit above this upper Bollinger Band here. I don't think it's going to have consistent closes. Above 62 soon. I think this will come a little bit down. We already talked about it earlier, but the third best performing ETF year over year, astonishing. Ark 42%. So understand where the alpha is. GDXJ up 66, IBIT 57, and then Ark up 42. Hedge appropriately. We will talk to y'all on. I'm trying to do Wednesday. Oh yeah, try to tune in tomorrow on X, FinTwit, all that for the morning show. It'll be fun. Who knows what we'll talk about? Peace.